Hello, everyone. Hi. Let's try that again. Hello, everyone. Ah, there it is. Thank you. I need that energy because it's our Sunday afternoon, too, and we're not quite there yet. Welcome to Town Hall number 1. Yeah. Yes. I'm Lois. My pronouns are she, her. Visual description, I am a white woman with mid-length dark brown hair, currently wearing a jean jacket and a black tank top. I'll let Ellen, my co-director, and...
Oh, hi, I'm Ellen. My pronouns are she, they, and I am a white woman with brown hair, bangs, and I'm wearing a quite colorful jacket with some crochet on it today.
Yeah. We're your co-directors, kind of the mamas of Fringe, I guess, as it were. And today we're going to sit and tell you all about this little festival that hopefully y'all are joining us on the journey with. Before we jump in, because there's a lot to jump into, I am going to acknowledge that the Hollywood Fringe is on the unceded lands of the Tongva, Gabrielinos, Quiche, and Gabrielinos people. Our statement serves as a practice as we commit to furthering our connection to Indigenous communities past, present, and emerging. You can learn more about our land acknowledgement and some resources to educate yourself about the land we reside on at hollywoodfringe.org/land. Thank you to Amber. I don't know if Amber is in the room. Hello, Amber. Thank you so much for having us. This is Zephyr Theater, everyone. Yes, and thank you so much for welcoming us into your space. It's so nice to be able to partner with these amazing venues that hopefully you get to know more and more as the process takes hold. We do have interpreters today. Thank you for being here. We have these scheduled for every town hall. And then for our workshops, they are available upon request. So if you do want an interpreter at the workshops, please reach out to support@hollywoodfringe.org at least 72 hours in advance, and we'll make sure that we schedule one. This is being live streamed and recorded. Hello, everyone watching from home. I hope you were enjoying a relaxing Sunday. Our production manager, Trevor over here, is in the chat, so please get involved on that chat, ask questions. We'll make sure to answer those throughout the day. All right, how many people are new to Fringe? Woo, welcome. Y'all, welcome to the family. I'm going to keep saying it in case I don't get a chance to welcome everyone at each event, but seriously, welcome to the family. We're really happy to have you here. It's a festival, but it's also a community, so I hope you are able to really thrive and connect with the community in the way that everyone before you has. Make sure you don't miss a beat. So let's go through some hard-hitting things before we get going. First of all, Fringe is a huge subject. We won't pretend it's not. That's why we do not 1 and not 2 this year, but 4 town halls all about Fringe to make sure you have every piece of the puzzle along the way. But today is going to be mostly focused on registration because that does open in just a couple of days and those early planning stages. But take a breath. I promise even after today, you're going to walk away with questions, and that's okay. We have the support portal, support.hollywoodfringe.org. That is a resource with, 30, 40, a ridiculous amount of articles that are going to literally walk you through every step of the process. Additionally, support@hollywoodfringe.org is your new best Fringe pal. That is your personal resource. Any questions you have, and it can just be, I know there's a marketing article, where is it? So you have that resource beyond just these 4 town halls. So these are kind of just to give you the bare minimum details that kind of lead to those more detailed questions, yeah? Get started, make sure you're following us at Hollywood Fringe. In addition to our newsletter, which, how many people are getting our newsletters? Awesome. If you're not, I highly recommend it. That's going to make sure, come on in. Welcome, y'all. No sorries. That's going to be the resource to make sure that you don't miss deadlines or programs that are going to benefit your show within the festival. There's a little tab on our website that says newsletters. Click that and make sure you're signed up. In addition to our general newsletter, which is the one that's active right now, we have the participant newsletter. You start getting that email as soon as you register. So we're going to talk all about registration, but today, I think if we take home anything, the importance of registration early means you're in that newsletter bundle and are getting every participant-related update. So those are going to be really important things to make sure you are signed up for. In addition, we have, obviously, recordings, which thank you, David Haverty, for being our brilliant media everything expert. Yes. This is available to watch again. So if you feel overwhelmed, just don't worry. You can rewatch it. You can put it on as a podcast. I won't lie. When we first took over in 2020, I podcasted a lot of Ben Hill, the old festival directors, town halls, just to kind of get the information in my head. and it works. Like you just by osmosis start to, collect the information. But you also have 13 years of past workshops and town halls and silly videos you can watch. I mean, Ellen and I basically grow up at Fringe, so in addition to a great learning tool, you can end up finding some fun little Easter eggs in there as well.
Which of our bad haircuts will you find? Tell us the next time you see us.
Actually, that's fun.
We've made some bad decisions.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Fringe was not one of them.
When you think it's Joan Jett and it's more mullet. Whoops. But so yeah, look out for that. And then make sure, I think, on social, at Hollywood Fringe across the board, anywhere you're going to find Fringe resources. And the cool thing about this not being the first year of Fringe, you really do have those many, many years to look back on and pay attention to what worked, what didn't work. And the panelists in all of the workshops are so amazingly giving with information. Come on in. Come on, join. Welcome. And yeah, and these are casual events too. So know in the future, if you come in late, no big deal. Well, we want you here in whatever time you have to spare. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. Did that? Yep. Okay, we're gonna try to get through this in 60 to 70 minutes, and we're going to take questions after chapters, because we know it's hard to hold on to a question for more than 20 minutes. So we're going to kind of take this in chunks, word vomit information at you, and then we'll do questions in between. I will say for this setting, because there's so many people, let's try to keep them very general, and anything that's very show specific or specific to your production, you can talk to us after, or that's where support@hollywoodfringe.org is going to be a great resource. And then at the end, we'll do one final Q&A and hopefully get all of your questions answered. I'm going to check in. I'm notably a fast talker. Is speed going okay? Yeah, okay. Please start waving your hands rapidly if I start to go turbo speed. It will likely happen at least once.
She will.
I want to give you
really
that permission. I'm just so excited to be here. Yeah, come on in. All right, so let's get started, shall we?
Yes. So we're going to get started by talking about the history of Fringe, and we're not the only Fringe ever. In fact, we're not even the first. The first Fringe started in Edinburgh in 1947. There was this Edinburgh International Festival, and they didn't have a lot of Edinburgh artists. The Edinburgh artists were like, what the fuck? They started their own little thing called the Fringe, and then guess what? The Fringe is one of the largest festivals in the entire world. Edinburgh Fringe still happens today. It is one huge, huge event that has inspired 300 plus other Fringes to pop up around the world. And we're one of those. We're one of the largest in the United States, if not the largest this year. Come on in. And
welcome.
we do operate in a similar model to Edinburgh because we were inspired by Edinburgh, but other Fringes might not, and they might have different rules, and that's okay. So if you've been to one Fringe, you haven't been to them all. Yes. And that's a really important note, because if you are planning to do Hollywood Fringe, it probably means that you're planning to do other Fringes or other tours or other things in theater. And this is a very unique process, but these tools will help you go through any other process that you do in the future. Okay, our Fringe started in 2010, and since then we've grown quite a bit, but we're still really fucking small. And we want to be really, really upfront about how small we are and how small our venue teams are. Lois and I are the only full-time staff that we have, and we just became full-time staff last year. We did not have full-time staff before then, and we were still doing a whole lot of catch-up because we had to basically run with chickens with our heads cut off for a lot of years, for 13 years. And now we're finally, as an organization, kind of settling into that, which is why we've been able to do so much more artist funding, and we've been able to do so much more advocacy work, and that's something that we're looking to increase as the years progress, as we become more solid as an organization. Yeah, really, and I think if you've been paying attention to our newsletters, come on in. Arts funding in Los Angeles, hell, the United States, is abysmal. Horrible. It's not any secret, right? And so if anyone doesn't know, Ellen and I took over the festival in 2021. We started that transition during the pandemic. Fun. But it really allowed us to kind of put our ear to the ground and find out, okay, we're a service organization. How can we be of service? What are those needs in our community? And glaringly, it was funding. And so over the last couple of years, since we've really honed into these rules, funding has become our primary mission. But that, we need the community's help. And this is actually not a plea for money, but we are very, very close to funding more artist funds than ever before. So that is just so you know where our focus is in a lot of ways, and we're trying to do that with a very small team. So our organization's focus is to put on the festival every year. That is our number one focus, is making sure that there's a platform for artists to be able to self-produce their work at a cheaper rate in Los Angeles because we know how important that is. That's our number one goal. Our second goal is to fund artists to make it more equitable for more artists to participate that don't have enough money to put up the work themselves. And then our third is advocacy and continuing the connections between our artists and like the larger touring scenes to make sure that after you do this, it's not this like you keep having to go into these same cycles and kind of keep starting over at square one, but maybe make connections here, be able to grow your show and be able to do your show without putting up money up front or without having to have all of the self-producing knowledge. You know what I mean? Expand upon your show, expand your companies, and be able to grow. It's not easy, but we are all in this together, and we kind of want to name that. All of our venues are very small companies. We don't have any like mega companies that are like run by these like huge corporations that participate in Fringe. Yeah.
Although if you're listening, we would love sponsorship.
You should run a venue and you should give space for free if you're rich. But it's not the case. And so we also want to name that a lot of our venues do discount their rates during Fringe. Not all of them do. It's part of your journey for you to kind of go through and figure out what is going to be the best financially for you in this process, what's going to be the best artistically for you in this process. Some of our tips that we're going to go over is like read your contracts. Make sure that when you sign the Hollywood Fringe registration agreement, you know exactly what's in that agreement. Please don't press accept and like freak out and pay your registration fee before you read all the details. We want you to go into all of these things informed because you are now not only an artist, you have to be your own advocate. And that's super important in this process.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is Fringe, right? And we're going to be talking about this a lot. Like, of course, it's a performing arts festival, right? If that's news to you, this is going to be a very interesting session.
We're not a film festival.
Though the amount of times we get that, we're still growing. But yeah, it's a performing arts festival, and it's uncurated. It's open access, and that means for the most part, anything goes. Like in general, there are things that work better than others. It's not a battle of the bands style festival, but we wouldn't say no. So it's uncurated performing arts. It's an opportunity to try experimental work or a new idea. There's a freedom to fail at Fringe that exists in a way it doesn't in the rest of the world, or at least in the rest of the season. Because, like Ellen was talking about, there's discounted rates. It is, while still expensive because it's Los Angeles and there's no way of getting around it, it's expensive, but it is not as expensive as putting up a run solo. Yeah, like you are sharing expenses with multiple other shows in a venue, and that's why venues are able to offer a discounted rate compared to, just one show for one night. So it does allow you to try something new and fail miserably without it being an absolutely epic financial failure. But it is also a place where you can put up existing work, things that you've already refined and are just ready to kind of show it to the world and maybe get industry and press, things like that. So at Fringe, there's really no rules when it comes to that. Like, you find your journey and then you find your goals within that, and we'll help you kind of form those goals throughout the workshops and town halls. But we always say, it's find two goals within that festival. And that could be very different for someone who's bringing a refined piece of work versus somebody who's trying something that's never been done and they don't even know if it's going to be good, but this is a great space to find out what that audience reaction is. It's all of those things are totally fine and welcomed at Fringe. It's also an opportunity to build your audience and build your network. This is it's a performing arts festival, but it's also a community. And in addition to meeting each other, the amount of companies that are formed and how relationships, the forever partner, writing partnerships, you will build your artistic network here if that's what you're looking for. You have to make that choice and present yourself in that open way to build those networks, but you very easily can really build your toolkit and your network of people. Additionally, you build your audiences on top of, it's a shared audience, right? I invite people that are not from Fringe to my show. They go to the website. Oh my God, Ellen's show looks fantastic. I'm going to go see that. You share audience in this space, and it introduces a whole new theater audience to different companies. You also get to keep those, and we'll talk more about this in future, but know that all of these contacts that you're building during this process, they are now yours. You will have access to those patrons for the rest of time. The website is a bit of a hoarder of information. And so you're gaining that not just for this round, but to use in the future as well. What it isn't, it's not curated, as we talked about. There are some limitations. We'll talk more about that when we talk about code of conduct. But majorly, it is not curated. It's not a place to send your work for us to produce. I think this is one, usually if you've made it this far, that's understood. But we do have to be clear, Ellen said, small team. We are not the producers of the work, we are producers of the festival, and we're going to help bridge the gaps for you. We're going to make sure the training is in place and the marketing and all of these pieces, but you are producing your own work at the festival. And it's not an aesthetic. So we were talking about, sure, garage band, fine, or battle of the bands, whatever. It doesn't have to be weird. Just because it's Fringe, don't get me wrong, those things are welcomed, and they certainly do better here than they will, like the Pantages, for example. But it doesn't have to be. You can bring classic work, and it's cool to see it one after another. You have a very refined classic, maybe old piece, and then a tree that's a clown, and there's going to be some of everything at Fringe, and it all works. Let's talk programs.
Yeah, I was going to throw it over. Should we throw it over to Carly to see if she could talk really quickly about the industry program?
Yeah, so we have lots of programs at Fringe, y'all, and we're just going to give you a teaser. We're going to kind of let you know what to expect with some of these programs. But Carly, our communications director, come on down.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Carly. I'm the communications director for Fringe, so I will just reiterate, please subscribe to our newsletter. You will get all the information that you need. We will be very thorough and make sure you are in the know about everything. So that's number one. First, I'll talk about our hotspot program. We partner with local businesses to get Fringe participants discounts throughout the festival at restaurants and bars and coffee shops and all sorts of stuff like that. So stay tuned for more information about what those businesses are and how to get those discounts with your Fringe button, which we will get to soon.
At the next time.
Yeah. Second, our press. I think you had just mentioned this. We market and get press in. We market the festival as a whole. We don't get press to your individual shows. That will be your responsibility. But we have a whole press program where press will register with the festival to cover shows. They'll have credentials. We will have an entire workshop on press and marketing in March. I think it's the end of March. So please make sure you attend that if you're interested in getting press and marketing tips and all that kind of stuff. And then kind of in that same vein, but a little bit different, what Ellen was talking about is we really want to help you take your shows to the next level after Fringe. We don't want this to be the end of your journey. We want it to be the beginning. So we have this arts industry program called Discover Fringe, which basically helps connect Fringe artists to opportunities beyond the festival. So we have industry professionals that will register to be part of this program, and we will organize networking events, and we'll get to all of this kind of as we get further through the festival process, but just stay tuned for more information on some of those events, getting industry to your shows, awards, everything that comes with that. So
Carly brainchilded that program, and so she also should take a little credit that the industry was her program that she founded at this festival. So
thank you. I don't know why I brought my computer out.
Thank you, Carly. Communications director in full form. Yes. So those are really exciting programs that we've been working hard on, and Carly really has made a lot of that happen. And so some of that is what you get at Fringe. We also have a volunteer program. Ellen said we are so small. We literally two full-time, 2 part-time senior staff, 2 part-time staff that comes in later in the season, and then it's just seasonal. And so volunteers are really what keep the machine going. If you're interested in volunteering for Fringe, we'd love to have you. It's fun. It's not, there's a little bit of work, but it's also just really fun. HollywoodFringe.org/volunteer.
And I also get involved in your venues. A lot of venues utilize volunteers throughout their time, and sometimes you like to spend that place and kind of build community in your place. And so reach out to your venue as well. I'm sure that they will always say yes, or if they're at capacity, that's an amazing thing for them. That if they have so many people reaching out that want to help them, that's great.
Yes. Fun fact, I started out as a volunteer at Fringe in 2010, so you never know where it can take you. Funding opportunities. Our scholarship application just closed. Thank you if you applied to the program. We will be letting everyone know by
February 15th.
February 15th. So you'll have plenty of time to make decisions about continuing on with the festival, that sort of thing. And additionally, our Artist Fund applications will open in February. And don't worry, it will be open after you find out about scholarships to make sure everyone has a chance to apply for that local Angelina low-income funding as well.
And for the Artist Fund, what that means, because people are always like, oh, low income, like what does that mean for us? We take the HUD definition. So for us this year, I think it's, and I don't have the exact number in my head, but it's like $60,000 because that is low income in Los Angeles. And so it is a more expansive definition than maybe some other programs you've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. So keep an eye out for that. We want to fund 24 shows this year. Additionally, we'll have cabaret and all of these things. Again, we'll talk about more when it's more relevant to like your process when you're worried about things like cabaret. But we do have a cabaret program where shows have the opportunity to like provide a snippet performance to general audience, a taste of Fringe, if you will, a great way to market your show. And that's how I usually choose to see Fringe shows because there's so many and I want to see them all. So cabaret is a great chance for me to see a little bit of something, something. Ellen, same.
Yeah, I love it. And I think, yes. And we'll learn more about this and Fringe Central and these sort of things as we kind of are going over them. In this town hall, you're going to hear like a lot of words for the first time, like Fringe Central or industry program or these sorts of things. But you don't actually have to worry about that stuff for like 2 months. And in our participant packet, we will define all those things. We just don't really have a lot of time in this registration kind of town hall. So we're going to name a lot of things. But if you're like, what the fuck is that? Don't worry. We're going to tell you. But right now, maybe not. Shall we get into our code of conduct?
Let's do it.
Okay. So this is one of the most important things we're going to cover today, which is our community ethos and our code of conduct. And this is the only thing that I'm going to read verbatim because it's really important that we get this like extremely right. This is something that we've worked on with our Access Committee. It's what we've worked on in our post-Fringe town halls from the last 6-7 years with our community to make sure that we are providing the most inclusive opportunity possible for people. This festival is built on a freedom of expression and a lack of censorship, which means we must maintain the utmost respect for one another to create a safe place for people to take risks in their work. We do not censor your words unless they are actively harmful or hateful towards a protected group. For example, women, people of color, queer and trans folks, disabled folks, deaf folks, fat folks, and religious folks. There are limits to this uncensored nature, and that is set by our Access Committee, and then it is taken action if something comes up by our Code of Conduct Committee, which is staff, board members, and past artists who go and make sure that they have this private session with the people who are having a conflict or something arise in our festival. We're a very diverse community, one that often has more women and non-binary people producing than men. And we attempt to foster a community where those folks don't face all the gendered issues that they typically face in a working environment. Does that mean that that might not have, like, you might experience these things at Fringe, but we've got your back, and we really want to work in a conflict resolution space where we can make sure that every year we're lessening that happening. And because we've been talking about this for years, it has. And talking about these things in community with each other and being able to understand where everybody is coming from works. And so we've been really grateful to see that change in our community, and we want to continue to see it change. We are on a path to make this Fringe more accessible space. This sometimes means that we might use disability-related terms that you're not familiar with, or an interpreter might view block your view of the panel, or something might be something that you're not used to, and it might make you out of your comfort space. We got to lean into that uncomfortable feeling because so many other people are experiencing that uncomfortable feeling on a daily basis, and we're just trying to make a space more comfortable for them. Yeah, thank you. Oh.
It's what we all deserve, right? And I think it's what we all deserve.
This space is also committed to anti-racism, not only through our words, but through our actions. In many environments, people face microaggressions and racism on a daily basis. At Fringe, we're actively working to keep these behaviors out of our spaces, and we are going to work in conflict resolution to make sure that people are able to learn from words or mistakes. And if there's something that is past that word or is past that mistake and it's physical, it is a no-go for us. It is not okay to make people feel unsafe in a creative environment. We are here because we are artists. We are here to be vulnerable, and we deserve to be able to express that full vulnerability together, and that only happens when we all feel safe. We are fiercely protective of our community ethos and reserve the right to ask anybody to leave or take a break at any time from Fringe. We encourage you, this isn't like to scare you, this is to encourage you to take that path with us and to make sure that you're upholding that in your rehearsal spaces as well. This is a promise to those in the room that face these issues in this community, and we will work with you to make sure that these issues do get handled. We strive to have this wholly inclusive environment and invite you to come with us on this journey. We also are really cognizant of the intersectional workings of what goes into creating a theater piece and going into creating a community. And it means that these things are not black or white, that they're often in gray area and need to be impacted so. And we're going to work with people to make sure that that does happen. And also, our goal is not to punish people. That is, we're actively reject punishment, but instead would rather, if people are unable to go through that process with us and be able to come out a better community member, that's when we have to protect the whole. We have to say, no, thank you, not here. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and it really is pretty simple, right? And and we're saying all this now, that way we can all flourish in this space. That way there's no questions about what those boundaries are, but they do matter because you deserve a safe space, and the rest of the world can be fucking awful, and we're gonna do our damnedest to make sure that this space is that respite from that awful, and hopefully, because that's what art does, it exceeds out, right? It can start somewhere and then just ripple out. So that is our goal.
And we're not going to be perfect at it.
No.
And that's why we have a lot of spaces for artists to be able to come and talk to us about it. We have our access committee. If you'd like to apply to join and be a part of the larger conversations, it's always on a rolling application basis. We ask that you complete one festival before you join, just so you have a full picture of what the journey is. And also we have our post-Fringe town hall after this, where we will literally be able to sit for 2 hours and just have you guys talk at us instead and tell us what we need to do different. Yeah. And some of that can be around this, and some of that can just be hey, I'm ticketing, this works different. And we're oh, great, and good ideas.
The amount of brilliance that have come out of those postmortems, because we're big on feedback. Especially Ellen and I, we're very accessible, and we hope you feel that as you move through this journey. But if it's not working, we want to know, because it's pride is bullshit, and when there's better ideas and better resolutions, we're all ears. So keep notes, right? The postmortem is a great chance for things like the awards to completely change. So much participant feedback has changed how the festival operates. But let's skip over to code of conduct. So we're talking, that is our community ethos. Let's talk code of conduct. These are the strict lines that just every participant needs to be aware of when you walk into the space. The following are not allowed in our community. I'm going to read this just like Ellen did so we don't miss a beat. Microaggressions, verbal and physical intimidation, hate speech and harassment, sexual harassment and assault, excessive consumption of alcohol and other legal substances, aggressive behavior, disrespectful behavior. Right? These are obvious things, but they need to be said because they are important, and they will end your festival journey if these things happen in our space. As you're navigating the festival, please be mindful of intention versus impact. Intention is when you aim to achieve what you aim to achieve through an action, and impact is how a person in the community receives that action. The impact of that action does not always match the intent, right? And that's where conversation does take place. But it's really good to be mindful. At the end of the day, this is a professional setting. And I think because this is, like Ellen talked about, gray area, right? We all become family. We all really get to know each other, and that's a beautiful thing. But it does make the lines blurry at times, because you do forget that at the end of the day, we are still in a public space and a professional space. Speaking of public versus private interactions, that's another big one. Remembering that our actions, discussions, and behaviors are nuanced, especially between close friends, close family. And just because it's appropriate in one setting does not make it appropriate in another, specifically in a public space like a Fringe event or workshop, town hall, things like this. So please keep those things in mind. At the Hollywood Fringe, we do look at those things when we're having these conversations and when we have to make choices about participation, because the impact of our, and we understand that the impact of our actions doesn't always match our intent. However, the effect is still the same, right? The consequence, the harm done is always still the same. So I think if we're all just really mindful of those things in the space, then everyone will have a safe and healthy experience at Fringe, and then we'll all make better art and change the world and all of the beautiful things that come with that. We do ask that when things come up, bravely take responsibility for it. Listen and learn, and we encourage you to take a deep breath and avoid defensive actions that come with pride and white supremacy culture. That at the end of the day, we really are big in conflict resolution. Mistakes happen, and growth comes from making mistakes, right? But it's also about how you work through that growth. If a member of the Fringe staff comes to you about a code of conduct complaint, take that seriously. That is where the majority of our issues come up. It's the defense. It's I absolutely couldn't have done that. And then we lose trust in your ability to maintain our code of conduct and our community ethos in this space. And if you have a problem, if you see something at an event, if you experience something at an event, please let us know. It's super helpful when it's in person. Any member of staff can be told at an event. But additionally, we have an email, conduct@HollywoodFringe.org. That is a private space. Myself and Ellen are the only two people who receive those emails. And then with permission, we go to the next steps like conduct committee and all of that. At the end of the day, we do reserve the right to not uplift your artistry in our space if it is deemed necessary. It doesn't happen all the time, right? Ellen's saying we're not trying to scare you. We're laying the boundaries. We're laying what we expect so that everyone can have a good experience. I can count on two hands the amount of time, in 13 years, y'all, the amount of times someone has been removed from the festival. It does not happen often, but just remember, don't be a jerk. As long as you remember, this was Rule 1. Some veterans in the room can remember the first rule of Fringe, this is in 2010, was don't be a jerk. And it covered all of what we're talking about here, right? However, we live in a world where we need to be clear. Yeah. But remember that, I think, overall, you're not going to fuck that up.
I did want to also mention that we have workshops to help you on your learning journey. If you're like, okay, some of these things are things that I want to work on or things that I want to get more definitions or more comfortable talking about. We have anti-racism for white artists, which will be an all-white space, except for if any people of color want to come as a guest. We are just centering it in that space so that white people can have that learning opportunity to be able to talk about anti-racism and not actively harm or be asking people of color to talk to them about this. And so that's that purpose of that space, and we'll have also a BIPOC affinity space available as well for people. And then we also have accessibility at the Fringe, which is actually going to be our Fringe team. Oh, go ahead, come on in.
Welcome.
Doing a whole town hall about how to make your Fringe show accessible, because it's so much more than wheelchair accessibility. It's so much more than interpretation. There's so many free things to do that we don't think about as producers, and then there's also these other opportunities. Please come on in.
Hi, welcome, y'all.
Where these other steps that do cost money that you may want to consider in your journey. So we're going to have a workshop about how to handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to, so just the last couple of things that I think are really important to hit before we move away from this and just and completely expect that everyone's going to honor this and, be the community we all deserve. But remember your primary producer. So this is the person who we'll talk a lot about today, because you will be the person registering. You will be the person in charge of your Fringe show. The primary producer is responsible for upholding the code of conduct within their production, right? It's kind of a family tree of sorts. The Fringe organization, primary producers, and then the cast and crew that work within that production. So the person who fills out the registration, pays the money at the end, you are now in charge of making sure that your cast and crew is upholding the code of conduct. Because at the end of the day, just like our reputations are so intertwined with our network, so is your show, right? And if your entire cast is breaking our code of conduct and being problematic, you are going to face the consequences, unfortunately, because your show is who signed an agreement with us. So just keep that in mind and use our code of conduct, HollywoodFringe.org/conduct, to have, take 20 minutes during your first rehearsal to talk about this, and then you're going to be good to go. The show content, Ellen kind of touched on it, but no, if you do have any questions like this, we've never actually had to boot a show because of show content. We've had to have a couple of conversations about some things that were just not okay, like sections of the piece, and sometimes those conversations are uncomfortable, but they always get to a resolution of better work, right? So no, if you're worried at all about your show content, like if you're worried you're in that gray area of breaking the code of conduct, reach out to us. We're happy to hop on a call. We're happy to read a section of your script, whatever it is, just to make sure you can feel good walking into a performance space and having no issues. So reach out, support@HollywoodFringe.org, and we'll happily, Ellen and I personally will hop on a call and make sure that, everything's good.
And some of that just comes with content warnings as well, right? So sometimes if you're discussing something deep and it needs to be a part of your piece, it's about taking that full responsibility to make sure you're discussing it properly with education from the communities that are affected by that issue, and making sure that you're taking responsibility with your cast and your crew to make sure they feel safe in those spaces. Because if they don't, that's when they're going to come to us, and that's when we're going to have conflict. As a lot of this. Yeah, we're taking questions. Go ahead.
Actually, you're 10. Yeah, really quick. And after, do me a favor. I'm going to take the mic over because I know Haverty's giving me looks. We're going to try to bring a mic over for questions. And then I'll repeat the questions. You don't have to go through it all. But give us your name and your show title, because then we can all start marketing our shows, right?
Hi, my name is Glenn Jimenez. I'm with Kaleidoscope Theater Ensemble. I'm doing Searching for My Father. It's a one-person show, but I might be doing a few more shows on top of that. The question or the suggestion was that if you are, when you're doing your show, on your links to your show and information, put a disclaimer about your piece, as well as putting links to the information to whatever community needs to have access, so the person coming to the show can read about the disclaimer, go to those websites. That way, when they come to the show, they're more informed and be ready to accept your piece, fully knowledgeable that that's what you're trying to present.
I think that's a great tip to do in general. I mean, I've seen some work about domestic abuse at this festival, and one of the times that it was like one of the most supportive, great spaces was we got like a pre-email that was like, this is what's being discussed in this piece. They didn't give anything away about the production. There was nothing, anything about that, but there was also like, it just kind of warning people and prepping people to go into that kind of heavier space. And that's above and beyond, right? Because that's totally, that was somebody from a community that was like, this is something I experienced and I'm sharing it with the world. And content warnings are really a way for you to also tell your audience what they're getting into. Because the last thing that you want to do if you have like a heavy topic, or if you have a topic that can be triggering, to have somebody come in, not know that, and have a bad experience because of it, where they could come in and kind of heal through it instead, if they're ready to.
Yeah, and we'll definitely cover a lot more about that at the Accessibility Town Hall, which is Town Hall number 3. When you add town halls, you lose track. Town hall. But no, like, yeah, the website does have flags for everything as well. So we try to make it really easy for you to let the audience know. And things like the long description, there's lots of places, but I love that you're already thinking about that, because that's what, you don't want to lie to your audience, right? Like, keeping your audience is number one in producing. So make sure they want to come back. All right, so with questions, I'm going to say it again just so we remember. Give us your name and the show title. That way you can, get it in people's heads. I can do the walk around.
Yeah, and it should be on what we've already covered so far, and then we'll have another Q&A session after like the next section about registration and venues and things like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
All right,
Cool.
We're being thorough.
Oh, my goodness. Upcoming events and workshops, town halls. Okay, so yeah, it is town hall number 2, because I don't have the dates in my brain yet, but I promise you that by next town hall, we'll be able to name everything because we type them all the time. We have tons of free educational events, and they're designed to help prepare you for a successful Fringe season. It is like a pay what you can on the website, specifically for people who are not planning to participate. If you're planning to participate in the festival, you're paying your registration fee, go ahead. Don't put $0. Like, we do not want that to be something where you're scared about. Like, oh, what if I don't pay enough? That is not the reason. It's more for folks that want to come and take these workshops but aren't doing the registration fee. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, don't worry. We've got you covered. We have 4 of these sessions where we talk at you a bunch. We have 7 town halls or workshops this year. Jesus. 7 workshops where we have past artists who have won awards at our festival come on stage, moderated by one of our staff members, and we talk to them about their experience on different topics. So the next one is budgets and fundraising, where you'll get like some really like good ideas from somebody who actually has done this, and not just the like combined knowledge that Lois and I have of past participants. We'll have ASL interpreters at all of our town halls and available by request at our workshops. And so if you do need that, we just need to make sure that we get that request in as soon as possible, 72 hours in advance. And if you want to email us at support@hollywoodfringe.org, we can get that set up as soon as possible. Workshops, so the workshops are going to be alternative, BYOV, venues at Fringe. We already had our venues at Fringe general workshop last week. It's on the website. If you want to watch it, please do. youtube.com/HollywoodFringe is where you can see all of those workshops. We have budgeting and fundraising, anti-racism for white artists, marketing and ticketing, how to tech your Fringe show, and festival expectations. Town halls are going to be around this. So today is about registration and budgeting and how to get started. The next one is how to make your Fringe show accessible, which is going to be about like accessibility, but also like how to make it inclusive as well. The next one after that is your printed guide, ticketing, and press. How do you do all of that? And then the last one is making the most out of your Fringe experience. And that's like industry, awards, Fringe Central, like what does it mean to be a community member during the festival? Every year our information changes because every year we have to pivot a lot. And so it's really important that even if you've done Fringe to come to the town halls, especially the town halls, even more than the workshops, because that's where we're going to be presenting new information. The workshops, I just think, are fucking great.
They're brilliant. The artists, the knowledge share. People are so willing to give you every bit of knowledge that helps them succeed. They don't hold it. They don't keep it for themselves. So, yeah, take advantage.
If you're having trouble navigating our website, we got you. It is actually a little complicated. It is like an old website. Like, it's not built off of a template. Like, it is built for this festival. So we have 2 sessions, and they're online, and it's site navigation and project pages, like how to set up all of that, how to register. And then another one, which is right before tickets go on sale, about like how to run your ticketing, ads, and guide proofs. So if you're like somebody like me who has trouble with technology, please go to those. They are available to you, and the recordings will be too, but we'll also have we'll live answer questions and be able to live show you things. If you're like, I want to know everything, then go to everything. Make sure that you sign up for our newsletters. It's so important. Cannot. We're going to mention it so many times, this thing. You go to the homepage, you click to sign up for our newsletters, and then you make sure that you add newsletters@hollywoodfringe.org to your contacts in Gmail so that none of it goes to spam. It is so important that you read every single one of them, or you're going to be lost. I am if I don't. And this stuff is in my brain, but it's not. You know what I mean? You can follow all of our event details, because I just said like a lot of things, at hollywoodfringe.org/events. That's where you're going to be able to see everything all at once and see everything that's coming up, including the other events that take place in our season. Networking. We also do a lot of networking in this festival. You network with each other, you network with us, you network with our industry. And we do it in this kind of fashion called office hours. Office hours take place at different bars and different restaurants all around Hollywood throughout the month. We do once a month leading up to the festival. So we have one on February 14th, and then we'll have them start in March weekly. Starting in March, they go weekly, and it's crazy. Every week we get to meet up, and we get to kind of take inspiration from each other. And it is also a great place for you to go catch up on, like, what am I missing? And talk to your fellow artists and make sure that you guys are all relying on each other.
Yeah, no, they're the freaking best for staff too. Like, it's that reminder that you're not in this alone. Like, you can celebrate, you mark it, and then also you can cry on each other's shoulders when things feel like a lot. They're really special that way.
We make sure that we have like drink specials, mocktails, cocktails, soda waters, anything that you feel comfortable with. They are 21 plus, and that is one thing. If you're under 21, it is harder to do Hollywood Fringe. I'm sorry, it is. And we work with you to make sure that you can get into like our opening party, into those types of things. But office hours are generally 21 plus.
Yeah, we'll have a couple, so it won't be every single one. There is at least one partner that we work with that will be 18 plus. So we'll make sure when those locations go live that it is notated, so you know which ones you can attend if you are under 21. Okay, should we go important dates?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to just continue to word vomit these dates at you because they matter. They're important. They're kind of the guidebook for what's coming up next for you. So February 1st, what happens? Yes, registration opens. From there, April 15th is your registration deadline. That is when we lock down the printed guide. So technically speaking, could you register after April 15th and still do the festival? Yes. But should you when you're already paying the same amount of money? No. So make sure April 15th, kind of consider that your guide deadline for everything, because you're going to want to make sure your listings are locked, which we'll talk about. You're going to want to book your venue by then. All of the pieces to the puzzle should be ready, set to go on April 15th. On April 20th is going to be your guide-proof deadline. We're going to talk a lot more about that later, but just know it's kind of a quick turnaround between that April 15th deadline and the copy-proofing deadline. From there, May 1st, tickets go on sale. It seems so far away and yet so close all at the same time. From there, June 6th through the 11th are previews. And then, of course, the opening night party on June 12th, which we will have no shows. The website won't let you do that, so know that, and neither will your venues. But there are no shows because that is the night we celebrate. After that, the official 2020, my notes say 2022 Hollywood Fringe Festival. I just have to say that out loud. It is the 2024 Hollywood Fringe Festival. We're doing fine. And then July 1st is our awards ceremony. And that's right, for the first time ever, our awards are the Monday following the festival because of participant feedback at last year's postmortem. So we really do take your advice. And I promise, I'm sure you're already spinning about all of the questions for awards. I'm not going to give any of that out yet. That is for later you, I promise, in future town halls and workshops and newsletters. We will go over all of it, but today it is not first on our agenda. But I will announce, I'm super excited about this, this year's the Hollywood Fringe opening night party will be co-produced by the Los Angeles LGBT Center. Woo! We are so, yes! The veterans, I'm sure, are excited. We are so thrilled to be partnering with this amazing, with the amazing LA LGBT Center again. They are an incredible partner and have a beautiful space. The courtyard holds some of our fondest memories of Fringe parties past. So we can't wait to make new memories with all of you here in that space.
And so it'll be outdoor with small indoor areas. So just remember that that will be like a mostly outdoor event and something that you should prepare for.
Yes.
And it is beautiful and so much fun.
So pretty. So we're really excited. Are there any questions? Aha! Happy to see how good I'm with bringing I got you. He keeps us on our toes, y'all. Right.
Hey, thank you. Hi, I'm Mandy Williams, and I'm doing a one-woman show, comedy show. Right now it's called The Funny Thing About Men, or Second Drawdown, not quite sure yet. But and my question, when you were talking about the cabaret thing where you get to do a snippet, do you have like a date on that?
No, it's a great question. No dates yet. I promise we'll get all of that sorted very, very soon. But just to kind of, wanted it in your brains, but no date yet.
Your June dates that we've set are basically like opening and closing, and the rest of that will come when you need the information, which is going to be around like April 1st and definitely before tickets go on sale, because we have to put it all in our guide.
Yes.
But we do work slowly on some of these things so we can make sure that we are getting the best deal and making sure that we're not spending our money in a bad way.
Yeah. Okay.
My name is Ian Thomas. I do not have a project. I'm asking, is the networking open for tech guys like me, for like lighting, sound, that just want to connect with producers and stuff and get their foot in the door?
People will love you. They're going to love it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. People will love that. Yes, it's not just for producers, it's also for actors. It's like, if you were like in this room and you're like, I don't want to produce a show, I just want to act in one. Come to office hours. There's so many people that are going to be casting in the next couple of months. It's so important for, like, if you want to get involved, coming to office hours is the great way to find your pathway to get involved.
Yeah, and too, like if you're here and you're like, okay, I think I want to do a show, and then you decide, oh my God, this year isn't my year, I'm not ready. Still come to the community, come to the events. Like, it's for everyone. So don't let not doing a project hold you back. I saw that question. Okay, I'm gonna go. Those were words.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that we should. So with tech, talking to venues is a great opportunity because a lot of tech is run through the venues. So that's a really good point as well. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tori. My play is No Judgment. And I was just curious, when you register, or when your final registration is, do you have to have your actors locked in place and the names ready for everything?
We're about to talk about the couple of things that need to happen in order for you to register. So we're going to kind of go through it. But the 3 requirements are that you create an online project, you have a booked venue, and paid registration. And the rest of it is going to make sure that you want that May 1st deadline for everything to be. Yes, create your online project, book the venue through that project, and pay your registration fee. There's not like an order which you need to do those things, but you do need to have the 3 of those things to be included in our printed guide on the 15th, on April 15th. That is the things that you need to make sure are there. You need to make sure that your short description is in the website. You need to, and we're going to talk about this in a second about what that is. I'm going to talk about it then.
Yeah, we'll go into detail. Yeah. But I'll just say, while I find the next person, there have been people who have not cast their show until midway through the festival. So
don't do that.
That's do it.
It's really not smart.
Okay, there's a question over here. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to reach over.
I'm sorry, what was number 3? It's like...
I'm going to go over it in just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, really in detail.
Okay.
Anything else that really pertains to dates? before we go to registration and venues and things like that. And
And you
budgeting.
can table this if it doesn't. It's date-ish. I'm Charlotte. Hi. One-woman puppet musical. Kind of going through a name transition, but it was Bega Chitty. And for first-time Fringe folks or kind of newer to the scene, could you just remind me, like, how many shows are people usually? I know this is so up in the air, but how many is like, let me do 4 shows? Or I remember at the last town hall, there was some talk about, like, don't set yourself up for feeling terrible by, like, I'm going to do 30 shows. Not to, you're all amazing. You could do it. But is there, like, a sense?
No, it's a great question. And we see it all. Most often, like 1 to 2. 1 is the usual. But one show?
Oh, one performance?
I was. I thought, because some people do multiple projects. So, okay, good. Thank you for clarifying. Go ahead.
So the average that we've collected is 3 to 7 performances. Like, we see very few under 3, and we see very few over 7. And that number really depends on, like, your project, the size of your house, and, like, how many tickets you're expecting to sell. And we're going to go through that and how you can calculate that in just a little bit when we talk about budgeting.
Okay, last sort of thing. I'm guessing a lot of these are going to,
Let's keep going just because I want to make sure that we hit things. So we are only halfway through our scripts, by the way. So we're going to, like, jam through a few things pretty quickly. Registration. So I said there's 3 requirements, and I'm going to go over in detail what those requirements are. You need to create your online project. This is pretty self-explanatory. You go to hollywoodfringe.org/add_project. Add _project. God,
Nailed it.
Yeah. And that is where you add a project. If you've already added a project, you just go back into your account, and you're able to see your projects and edit it from there. When you create your project, it is not published in the guide or ticketing. So you have a couple of months right now to be, like, massaging it, getting your imagery up the way that you want it to, making sure that your description looks good. I highly recommend that other people look at it, that you're not the only person looking at your page, so that you have some feedback. And I know it's going to sound like you can do it, like, on April 15th, but if you do it now, it just means April 15th you're focusing on the things you should be focusing on April 15th, which is selling tickets when they go on sale on May 1st. I do want to mention the category. This is where you decide where your show will fit best and how it will be marketed, and the category you'll be considered for awards under. If you're like, Ellen, how do I know what category I want to do? I want to know how many people participate in every category. Guess what? We're transparent, and we have a thing called an annual report. And if you go to hollywoodfringe.org/annual report, and you go and look at all of the numbers from last year, you're going to be able to tell how much was, like, the average, how many seats were sold in the average house last year, how many, what categories, how many were the most popular categories that people booked under, because maybe you don't want to put your show under that because you'll be competing with everybody for awards there.
Solo show.
Just maybe think about it, and make sure that it's there. Your show can fit into multiple categories, and so you need to, like, just figure out what category feels best for you. Also note the short description is the thing that's going to go in the printed guide. The long description is what's on the website. So short description goes in print. Long description goes on the website. That's your project page. Other than that, we have that wonderful little workshop online where we're going to go show you how to do things on the digital webs. If you're like, okay, but I need more than that, come to our little online session. Registration and workflow. There's a couple of steps. You tag your project. That's how people search for you. So people might tag it comedy, queer, fun. Lois's favorite, because she wrote it down here, is #apocalypse.
There was 1 year where just every show seemed to be a #apocalypse, and now it's one of our top tags, and I find that funny.
Then you're going to answer some. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And you don't want it to be too specific, though, because if it's too specific, then it's not going to show up on the popular tags. So you want it to be like, yeah. Well, maybe it will. Maybe you made it so. But I'm just letting you know. Yeah. But your tags are going to be how people search for you. And it's also a great way for you to be able to kind of have some unique marketing and tag yourself Solo Apocalypse. answer some basic questions about your production. And this is going to be our participating demographics. Those are private. That's for us to be able to apply for grants so that we can get more money for our artists. So nobody's going to be, and we do publish them in our annual report just so that we can be accountable for like, hey, we're age inclusive, we're sex inclusive, we are racially inclusive, like showing those numbers, but we're never going to be like, and this was exactly how many people. We do things in percentages and ranges. And there is places for you to opt out on everything that's not required for us to be able to maintain our grant status. Apply to venues. You can do this directly on the site. That doesn't mean that you're done. That's like one of the steps. This is just one part of applying to the venues. Call an email and make sure you're developing a relationship with them. Make sure you've toured it. If you're here in person, if you're online, make sure that you have like a really good email relationship with them. I know some people can't tour in person, but our venues have a lot of digital options to make sure that you have a good experience as well. Chat with a few venues. You don't have to go to just one. It's really important that you make sure that you are like thinking about three things. What is the most financially viable thing for my show? What is the most artistically viable thing for my show? And how am I, as a producer, going to feel comfortable in these spaces? And do I have the right like vibe around me? Because we all have different vibes, and I think it's really important that you find
big for Ellen today.
But I think it's important in that production process that you have that all covered. And we have so many venues, and they are all amazing, and they're all super freaking different, and they all operate differently, and they all have different prices, different price structures, different things that are included, things that you have to pay for, things that you don't have to pay for. So getting all of that information is not a bad thing. Nobody's going to be mad at you. What they're going to be mad at you about is if you ghost them after you ask them all this information. You're going to ask them all this information, you're going to make a decision, and then you're going to say, so you can keep up a good relationship with that other venue, because who knows, you might work there again. You say, I found my venue, thank you so much for being in conversation with me, and you move on. But if you don't close out that conversation, that's where things get to be, people start to go, wow, that participant didn't even reach back out to me after I gave them 30 minutes of my life, 3 hours of my life, 6 days of my life sometimes. It is a full-time job for our schedulers, and it's usually just one person that's managing it. So please make sure that you understand that our venues are small. They are small like us. They are not trying to take advantage of you, and we actively have done surveying to make sure that that's the case. And it is really important that we understand that while we're going into this.
Then you be a jerk.
Yeah. Then you sign your. We're going to take a question in just a second. Then you sign your contract, and your participant contract and your venue contracts. You need to look these over. You're supposed to know every single detail of both of these contracts. So when you're signing on with your venue and when you're signing on with us, read your contract and ask questions. It's totally okay for you to ask a question before you sign it, but it's really hard when something comes up and you don't want to follow the contract. So you know? Then finally, you register for the Fringe. What does that cost? $300 for most people. That's the most common. That's for a paid multi-performance run. If you want to do one-off show where you only do one performance, it's $175. That's pretty uncommon unless people are just kind of doing this to kind of try it out, or maybe it's just a more uncommon level. If you're doing a free show where your tickets are free and people don't have to pay, it is $175. We get this question a lot. Yes, of course you can pass the hat at that performance, but you are not collecting ticket sales through the your box office system. It's more like I can pass the hat, I can ask for donations, but I'm not ticketing this show. We also have our workshop program, which is free for participants. So after, in the next couple of weeks, if you're like, I want to produce a workshop and I want to put it on the Fringe site and I want to tell people, you can, and we'll allow you to. You just have to email us and we'll help you set that up. Then you're registered. After you paid your registration fee, boom, you're here. And you'll be automatically signed up for that participant newsletter. You'll have access to our participant packet. So we're going to email you as soon as you register, and you'll get this participant packet, which is like your holy grail and your navigatory Google Maps all in one. It is 33 pages, and it breaks down step by step by step by step what you have to do. That goes live on February 1st. So make sure that you are looking out for it. Remember, you need to book your venue in order for your registration to be complete, and you need to register for Fringe in order for your venue part of this to be free, or complete, not free, complete, Jesus. And so that is all very important part of one package. Just do this all by April 15th to ensure you're included in the printed guide.
What date?
April
15th.
Beautiful. And they have 5 days to make sure that it's all right before it goes to print.
But don't worry, that April 20th, April 15th, if you have all your shit together, we will send those emails. We won't let you forget to double check your guide, because we are not proofing 400 listings. We cannot. So we want to make sure each individual show does. Should we talk about what's included in registration? Okay, so registration, right? This 300 or 175, depending on your type of show. What does that include? That includes your listing in the printed guide. That's right. We're going to keep talking about it. But that is not an image listing. I just want to name that. It is your short description, the dates your show is taking place, and the location and title. So it's all of the basics that are included with that registration fee. It's also, of course, your listing on the Fringe website, which will get well over 1 million hits in June alone. So lots of eyeballs on the Fringe website. It's also a listing in the mobile app, iPhone only right now. Sorry, Matt Quinn. I know we're working on it. Someday we'll have Android, but right now our mobile app is just iPhone. It also includes ticket sales, and that's on the web, the phone, walk-up, and mobile. Hollywood Fringe staff will take care of all of that for you. So no to when it comes to refunds or mostly exchanges, right? Oh my God, something came up. Or we live in a world where people get sick and do not go out anymore, which thank goodness, right? So, okay, I can't go tonight, I'll go next week. We take care of all of that mess for you.
And we'll go into in detail what that mess looks like in our ticketing workshop.
Yes.
So don't worry about it. It's a little bit nebulous right now, but we'll go over it more in detail later on. And 100% of your ticket sales at the end of the festival are going to be you can request 100%, and that's what you get. You get 100%. We don't take it. We take the little fee. We have a small fee. I think it's $3.
It's a service fee, so just to separate out. Yeah, so you take 100% of your ticket sales. We do not take a cut, anything of that. We charge a service fee in addition to whatever your ticket cost is, and that's for credit card processing, all of the normal ticket. We all know we're no ticket master over here, though.
It's $3 a ticket. So and it really is just so that we don't have to pay credit card fees.
Yeah, but it's not out of your pocket. That's an audience edition, just so you know what that breakdown looks like. Additionally, Ellen started talking about it. The participant packet. This is and I was literally just working on it today. It is 40 pages, y'all, and it is 40 pages of information and discounts and resources. So even outside of the Fringe world, a lot of it is certainly Fringe specific, right? Like the Fringe website ticketing is definitely Fringe specific, but these are also discounts that you can use for videography. I mean, Haverty is on our participant packet. You'll have a discount for videography, for advertising, for promotional opportunities, and all of these things are now contacts that you have in the world, right? You start to develop these relationships and start to build out your producer's toolkit. So that will go live on when you register. You get a receipt this year with a welcome video from these faces, and the participant packet. So you'll get that right when you register, and it really is just jam-packed, full of knowledge and tips and tricks. Additionally, you get discounted ads on both the Fringe website and the printed guide. This year it's 50% off for participants, and this is a printed guide. We print thousands of copies and distribute them all throughout Los Angeles. So there's organizations and companies and people that are not Fringe shows that advertise in this, but Fringe shows all get 50% off those ads, both on the website and the printed guide. That's where you want an image, right? So no listing has an image. The ads will be your paid-for image if you do want to add that. You, of course, have participant support. The support.hollywoodfringe.org portal, the support portal with all the articles. And then, of course, your new best Fringe pal, support@hollywoodfringe.org. And our new artist services coordinator that is going to be dedicated to making the participant experience really great and really helpful.
Starting in late March. They have not started yet.
Currently, you get me on support, so that's super fun. And then, of course, qualifications for awards. And we will get this question, so I'm just going to name it while you're booking venues. You must perform at least once during the festival to qualify for awards. Although I will note you will also probably not be considered for awards if only 30-some people see your show. But you are qualified for all awards once you register with the festival and apply. And again, we're going to talk about that later, but you can do all of these things when you register. Additionally, reviews. Reviews are available to you and, quite frankly, are really easy to get at Fringe. The website, we do an auto email for all of your audience members who, you saw the show, thank you for coming. Please leave a review. We want you to get those reviews. That way those are in your tool belt right now. The next time you perform the show, you have those one-liners to put on your postcard and your poster and use in your press. So you will gain reviews at Fringe. You also have access to press and industry, like Carly talked about, these programs that are built to help give you a pathway for easier access to these things. Additionally, of course, the workshops, panels, and town halls that all prepare you. We have a lot of you can walk out from college not really ready for the real world of producing in theater. And if you attend every workshop in Town Hall, we will get you from A to Z. We will give you all of the education and the tools as long as you got to, meet us halfway, right? But all of this education is yours for the taking. All festival marketing. And I think Harley mentioned this, right? We advertise the festival as a whole. We love all of our babies. So we will not advertise individual shows, but we will push the festival hard. And that gets people toward your shows. And then it's up to you to make sure you stand out, right? But on our end, we do pole signs. Those pole signs you see all over Hollywood on poles. Is there a better way to describe those? I know. The pole signs on poles. I don't do their marketing, clearly. But we do like 50 some of those. So we're getting that like street attention. We also, of course, do paid digital and print ads and partner organizations to make sure we are marketing the festival at large and getting eyeballs on your work potentially. I skipped a page. Okay, yeah, and then access to support, right? Like we're here for you. We want you to succeed, and we want to make sure we're here to answer those questions. So it's not like we do these town halls and then dip. We are always accessible. So please, let us help you on that journey. And then, of course, it's fun. It sounds like a lot of work, and it is. But it's also fucking fun. Y'all, it's networking. It's community. It's finding, Fringe for me, I started volunteering, right, in 2010. It was a home base I didn't have. That's what Fringe gave me in the beginning. And we hope provides anyone here who needs it. But it really is that. It's your artistic safe space. So it's a playground. Come play. And so Fringe is that, too. Work and fun. Venue.
Talk about the other parts other than
Zone.
The Fringe Zone.
Ooh, Fringe Zone.
So the Fringe Zone is north Franklin Avenue, east Normandy Avenue, south Rosewood Avenue, and west Fairfax Avenue. That is the 2024 zone. You can book any space within that, and that's why we have that BYO venue panel, which is about bringing your own space into the folds. Otherwise, we have our registered venues who actively participate, many of whom have participated in the past, but some who haven't, that are on our website at hollywoodfringe.org/venues. So you have those two options. If this is your first time, maybe BYOV would be an ambitious choice unless you're kind of used to doing immersive or you're used to doing site-specific work. It is a whole other challenge, but it can be a beautiful challenge and it can really lend itself well to some work.
Yeah, and if you are interested in that, on February 5th, we have Annie Lesser, a longtime Fringe veteran who has done work in parks and apartments.
Her own apartment.
Yeah, she really knows the ins and outs of BYOV. So if you are interested in that journey, if not for this year, but how does that look like for a future year? Come to the panel. It's live streamed from 7 to 9 on Monday, February 5th. I cannot believe I remembered that date. Sorry, that was my own pat on the back. And watch, I'm wrong. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? But so please come to that. Yeah, no, that's important. Also, no, I want to name before I forget. We're giving you all of these Hollywood Fringe, / you're going to remember none of those, right? Who would? But no, fun fact, if you Google, Hollywood Fringe venues, that's going to come up. We have enough of a web print where we even do it on our own articles sometimes because we can't find shit. So just Google what you're looking for and Hollywood Fringe Festival. Odds are it's going to pop right up for you. Should we do a quick overview of Project Page and then just move right along?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Project Page. So who has created a Project Page so far? Okay, well done. If you haven't, reminder, hollywoodfringe.org/ad_project or Google Hollywood Fringe Project. And that's going to be your first step. This is going to be your home base for all things Fringe. And you can, of course, do that before you register, as you've seen from all of the hands here. This is your festival hub. This is like your Instagram profile or your Facebook profile. This is all things your show at Fringe. It's your place to sell tickets, of course. It's a place for you to add photos and videos and... Sorry, I can't help it. New baby to the venue fold. Get distracted by gushy babies. Okay. So that is your place, yeah. So you can add photos, videos. You do everything there. And the idea with Fringe is we really do want to give you the ability to be your own producer. So we want to take as much control away from us as an org as possible because you know best how to sell your show and how to facilitate that. So at Hollywood Fringe, you really have everything at your fingertips through the website. So take advantage of that. Shoot those trailers. Shoot the or take the photos. We live in a Netflix world. Trailers are a good idea. People need a little bit of something to commit to, right? And so considering all of those things we talked about, right? Nothing is locked until April 15th. So you have time to decide on tags. Look at other people's project pages, and remember the site hoards information. You can look at Fringe's past and see what shows have done to market their work, things like that.
And I want to mention with trailers, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I've already done this show and I have footage and I can edit it together. You can have images. You can tell a story through so many different ways, and there's so many different resources for you to use to be able to do that for free. Like, we're not expecting you to spend $2,000 making your trailer for your Fringe show. That is not good. That's probably not going to be effective. It's going to canva.com and making your free video so that people know what's going on. And if you haven't used Canva before, you're gonna use it this time. You're gonna
do it.
Like, you've probably heard of it before. It is this like free online platform where you can do things. I pay for a pro account because it's worth it. If you're a nonprofit, you can get a pro account for free, and so that's good. If you are a nonprofit or you have a fiscal sponsor, you can apply to get it for free. And so it will behoove you to use that to make your Instagram videos, to make sure that you have a social media presence. But they also have things to make trailers and make things like that, where you can have images from your rehearsals, or even kind of just have some storytelling going on through media. Canva, C-A-N-V-A. It's like canvas without the S.
If you're watching, Hollywood Fringe are big fans, and we would love a Canva sponsorship.
Yes, please sponsor us, because we already promote you.
Yeah, in fact, fun fact, so when it comes time for when you buy guide ads, if you do want to buy an ad in our printed guide, we give you handy templates for, of course, like Photoshop and the big guns of design, but also a Canva template. That way, if you're more like us, you can also design your own guide ad, and it'll be awesome.
I used to use Photoshop. I don't anymore. I use Canva.
Again, Canva.
It's easier. It's easier because I'm not a marketing professional, and I don't need it to look hand done in a lot of ways. And when I do need it to look hand done, I can input that hand doneness into the platform as well. So,
Yeah. Anyway, right. Enough about that.
Awesome.
It's
I'm gonna
amazing.
stop selling a product.
That doesn't give us any money.
I am obsessed. I fucking am. I made my birthday announcements in it. I'm like, I really am obsessed.
It is so true. Okay. Yeah!
I think we should just cut this together as an ad and sell it.
Done. Last thing I want to say about Project Page real quick. Get to know it. Remember, nothing is locked until April 15th, so now's the time to try something and then get rid of it, try something else. I will note that's where you can do all things ticketing, and we will talk about details in ticketing at a future workshop and a future town hall. But know through the Fringe website you can add discount codes, you can make different ticket levels. It is pretty flexible to anything you would want to do with ticketing. So know that we'll all be there, and we'll walk you all through it. Should we do questions and then money?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see one.
Oh, and then, she's had her head.
Oh, I'm just going to go ahead. Okay. Thank you.
Hi. Can you do comp tickets?
Absolutely. And you can also pretty much do as many comp codes as you want. So you can create as many comp codes as well as discount codes. Nobody's hit our limit yet as to how many you can make, but please don't. But that way you can track how you're marketing your show as well. Be like, okay, I have my participants discount code for other participants or artists, or I have my yoga studio. I gave them yoga as a $3 off, and you can track it as well.
And should you if you're doing one show, should you do it only at one venue, or should you try doing it at different venues?
Absolutely one venue, unless you are planning to make a lot of techs. So every time that you mount your show again, you have to retech it. You have to do it with a whole new team. So absolutely one venue would be the...
So if you already have a Q lab, are you set then, or what? Okay. So
So the lighting grids are different at every venue. So you would have to retech your lighting. Most likely you're going to have to get your different insurance unless you have your own, because each venue has different insurance riders. You have to pay a different tech person. So it doubles a lot of costs. If you're willing to pay those double costs, you could, but
Why bother?
it's just, yeah, but don't.
Yeah, yes, but, right?
So what, I mean, is the average cost for a venue?
We are about to talk budget, actually, and there is a budgeting article on, well, I don't have the link, but if you go to hollywoodfringe.org/news, there's an article with templates, and come to our budgeting and fundraising workshop, because we're going to walk through all of that so you can kind of prep ahead of time.
So why would one have to contact each of these venues? Wouldn't you just have like the set fees, or are there no set fees? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because all of our venues operate so differently, and they all have different sizes, and they all have different owners, and they all have different rental rates, where they have their own agreements, and so that's why
they'll
we
make their own unique agreements with each artist.
exactly.
Okay.
But many of them have like their fringe prices, and they'll be able to give those to you in advance.
Yeah. In fact, do you mind? I'm going to take a quick break, and I know there's two venues here. Do you want to give me just a quick hello? We are like 2-sentence welcome, just in case you are looking for venues. No, we have two right here.
Great.
Hi there, I'm Matthew Quinn. I'm here with my partner, Berto Rodriguez. We run Theater Asylum, and we have actually 6 spaces across Hollywood in 3 different venues. All the information's up online, and we're actually having a tour following this event. I know several of you already signed up for it. Basically around 4:30, kind of after a little mingle, I'll make an announcement. We're going to go see the McCadden, Stephanie Fury, and end with Thymele. So it should take a little over an hour, but you'll be able to join us. Just find Berto or myself. We've got cards, too. If you can't make the tour, we're setting them up now. So looking forward to hearing from you all.
Hi, I'm Jen Crafts. I run the Stagecrafts venues, and that is the Madnani. There's a lot of them. That's the Madnani Theater, which is next to the McCadden. That is a like traditional black box. Then we have we're managing for the Matrix Theater, which is like across the street here, and they have an interesting immersive attic space. Plus, they have a big like main stage as well. So we are managing both of those. We also have a really interesting cabaret space in a coffee shop called Javista on Highland. It's super cool. It's already booking up, so it's probably going to sell out pretty quickly. So definitely check it out. And there will be coffee available. So I'd go to all those shows. And then literally on Friday, we got we just got a lease for a pop-up venue we're bringing a venue back to Fringe. Yay, we got it. So it's the new collective space, which is on Santa Monica. It is between the old complex space and the Broadwater. And that one is going to be called the Hobgoblin Playhouse this year, because that's our pop-up brand. So take a look. That one's another 50-seater traditional black box. And we are going to hopefully get in there on the 1st and then start a bunch of tours. But come talk to me afterward. I'll tell you all the details about everything. Very sadly, we are not. Well, we are now, but we are leaving at the end of April. Our landlord is upping the rent 700%. That studio stage is not going to be a thing.
Hi, I'm Amber. I run this venue, the Zephyr Theater. So as you can all see here, this is our space. But I have rate sheets, and if you guys have any questions or you want to come take a look at the back space, or we have our dressing rooms upstairs open, please feel free, come ask me questions. And we have water and soda for free out front if you guys want something afterwards.
Okay, more questions? I know this. Yes.
We're going to get into budget in a second. So about registration or anything we talked about so far.
I'm Linnea Pramel, and my project is The Trick. I was just wondering if you decide not to go forward this year, can you still add your project on or not?
Yes, so absolutely. So the Add Your Project, right? Anyone who's doing that right now, that does not lock you into anything this year. The registration does. So once you register, that's when it becomes more public. Like it is available via search, things like that. But the Add a Project right now, I mean, you can do add a project today and decide to do it 3 years from now. It doesn't really, that is not your agreement by any means. That's a great question, though. Thank you. Teamwork.
Hi, Kelly McIver. I'm a co-producer on Tamara Zook's Great Aunt Isla Chronicles. And my quiz question is, can we sell tickets at the door as well, or is it just through the website?
You absolutely should sell tickets at the door, and you should have a plan to do so. And we'll go over some of those best practices. And your venue will also talk with you about that, because every venue has like different locations that they suggest, different ways that they handle things. Some even have that have people available very rarely. So I think it's really important for some of these questions. They'll come up a little later, and we'll go in detail. But definitely a venue question as well, something to be in contact with them about.
Yeah, I will note the one rule at Fringe is that 50% of your tickets must be on the Fringe website. They can be 100% on the Fringe website. In fact, that's what most people do, and is arguably sometimes the easier option, so you aren't managing two different spaces, because with two different ticket sale platforms, you have to worry about overselling and that mess. But so most people do 100% of ticket sales. But if you do want to go, with a gold star or a secondary platform, Today Ticks, you can absolutely do that, but only 50% of your tickets, because otherwise we're advertising a festival that doesn't have tickets on sale, and then that just gets messy. But that's a great question. Yes. Oh, thank you.
I have a few, but I think, so I don't know if you can go back to this, but you said most financially, artistically, and what was the third thing?
Oh, matches your intentions and your vibe.
Vibe, and then I think you're going to talk about this next, but you kind of mentioned something about average budget for a show.
Yes, I'll go through that next.
And then also the Fringe Zone, that's available on the website.
It is, yeah, but I can go through it again as well. It is North Franklin Avenue, East Normandy, South Rosewood, West Fairfax. So again, North Franklin, East is Normandy, South is Rosewood, West is Fairfax.
Yeah. So my question was, first of all, the show I'm doing is called How Not to Talk Like a Parent. And if anybody in here wants to share any ideas, please hook me up. It's amyaquarian at Gmail. And the second is my daughter produces a lot of shows over the years. But you had said if it's past the hat, that you still have to pay the registration, right? Mm-hmm. And then you still pay all the other fees that are associated with it. But how does that, you just don't do what? What do you, if you're...
You get a $125 discount on your registration. Okay. And so most people don't do that unless they already have their own space. Some people might be a theater company that have a space within this, and they're like, I just want to toss my hat into Fringe. It's a very rare instance that people register at that number while having the full picture of what Fringe is, and we don't recommend it unless you have a very specific reason to do so.
My name's Alea Aquarian. I'm producing a Poetic License again this year, and probably some kind of magical playtime with Psychodelicate and Friends variety show. So if any performers want to be in a show and have 4 minutes on stage, and also may produce a couple other shows, because now I've got the bug.
To talk like a parent.
I love it. You're gonna be busy, y'all. Oh, we have a question. Whoop, yes, I'm gonna do it.
Hi, I'm Christina. I'm producing a play called The Road to Nowhere. And regarding earlier, you talked about what, I can't remember the word, but section to put your project in. I was a little confused, and I was almost afraid to ask this, but so I do stand-up comedy, but this is just a comedic play. Would shows like that go under the comedic? Because there wasn't a tab for play, I don't know. There was comedy and drama. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. So for categories, because we also don't have stand-up, right? So I think it really depends on what your vibe is. Potentially, you comedy. It is if there are comedic elements. It sounds like it could be a comedy, or again, there is solo performance. You have that option. Although again, don't recommend it if there are other things that also explain your show. But it's really up to you, as long as it makes sense. we just don't want to get the complaint of like, I went and saw this show that was clearly a comedy and I cried the entire time. There was no comedic element, right? It's again, I think it all goes back to don't lie to your audience. But yeah, it's a great question.
Hi, I'm Rachel Troy. I'm making a show called Baby. So the registration opens on February 1st, and then how soon do you recommend we start booking a venue? Does that, should we go like right away, or do we have some time to kind of check out venues, or should we have been doing that beforehand? Yeah,
that's great. Let the panic set in, right? No, start looking, right? Like, the venues are not wrong. Like, people are starting to look, but don't let panic make you choose a venue that is not right for your show. Also, don't let things look at every venue is going to have a different price. Every capacity is going to have a different price attached. Please, please, please do your future self the favor of not getting to June and saying, oh, fuck, I can't pay my rent because I banked on selling out a 99-seater and now I'm not doing that. Please, please, please consider your abilities to sell your house. But yeah, so you're fine. Like, take a breath and just start touring now, though. Like, start reaching out, start to make those connections, yeah? Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
yes, because right, worst case scenario, you spend a lot of time in the front stage, like touring 9 venues, and then the next time you do a show, you're like, hot damn, I know exactly what venue I want to go to because I've already toured it. I'm gonna go here and then back over.
And then after that question, I think we should move on just for time.
I'm Bertha Rodriguez, and I just quickly want to ask, in the past, if participants didn't use the registration, they didn't do a show and they paid for registration, they can use it for the following year, correct? Is it still the same?
Yes.
The rollover. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. We get less of them now that we're a little bit further away from 2020. But yeah, if you have registered for a show, and technically speaking, just so you know, like, we're not trying to like take anyone's money and like say fuck you if you decide not to do Fringe. At the end of the day, like, you have up until the guide goes to print. Like, April 1st is kind of our like, no, like, at this point you cannot ask for a refund. And that's for Fringe. That is not for venues. You have a contract with venues, and I'm going to assume once you sign a contract with venues, you owe them that money. But with Fringe, you can always get a refund if you decide not to do it, or choose to roll over your registration. So if you're like, oh my God, I registered in 2020 and never did a Fringe, email us. We'll approve
now.
That. Yeah.
So follow up. So we book a venue and then we pay our registration.
So 2 and 3 can happen in any order. You can, as long as you do both by April 15th. But you can absolutely do them in any order. But you do have to register for a venue to easily like give you a deal and like start that process on the website. Because after, just because it's going to come up over and over again, once you find your venue, once you register for the Fringe, the venue has to input your performances onto the Fringe website, and that is how we are able to sell tickets, how we are able to print the guide. So all of these things have to happen. So don't give yourself until April 15th, and on the same day think you're going to book a venue and register, and it's not going to happen, and/or you're going to give me and the venues a heart attack. Okay, one more question, then we'll move on.
Sure.
Is this just the one?
Yeah.
Okay. You were so quick. Okay.
Hi, I'm Michael Franco, and I'm producing a show called Not My Grandmother's Daughter. It goes to the categories and the tags. So I don't see a tag that describes that show the way I would describe it. Is there a possibility of I add a tag?
Yes, you're in control
and
of
that would become something in the drop-down menu for others who may have a similar type show?
It won't be in the drop-down menu, but in the search, so you can only search in like that drop-down menu by category. But what it will become is there's like a section at the top of the ticketing page that has all of the tags, and people can click on those tags to find things that they're interested in. So if you add a tag, just add a popular tag to make sure that it's in that tag.
Yeah. Like social media.
Yeah.
Budget?
Yes. Okay. So budgeting. We have 3 sample budgets of 3 different types of shows, of solo work, of ensemble work, and a musical, all at different venues. None of them were produced at the same venues, all from different years, but most of those details have remained the same. They're not like very old budgets. I'll repost them. That way it's at the top of the feed, and it'll show up in a newsletter this week because Carly's here and we can put it in a newsletter this week, the budgets. So that way you can prepare it. But if you were like, I want to look at it right now, guess what you should do? Hollywood Fringe, Google, Hollywood Fringe, sample budgets. And that article will come right up because it is on our website. But I'm going to go through like some details when it comes to like how to budget when you're just like starting to go through. We have an entire panel about budgeting and fundraising where we'll get into the nitty gritty. This is just some stuff to start noodling on. So how much does it cost? What do you need to think about? You need to think about these categories. Your registration fee, your venue rental fee, your production fees, and your marketing fees. There's more under that. Like under production, it's also like your costumes, your props, your set. Like set is this. This is a set. This is a Fringe set. You don't have to have more than this. Nobody's expecting more than this. Nobody is coming to Fringe thinking that you have an entire huge production. Some do. Rules are meant to be broken, but that's your choice. You have under your marketing. Your marketing is going to be like your fees to if you wanted to do a guide ad or online ads. Your Instagram or TikTok or other like kind of paid advertisement you might want to do online. It also might be like you working with a somebody else and doing some swaps and like being like, that's how I'm going to get these things. So you can also have like unpaid things in these budgets, but just like kind of like it's a good place to put all of the things you're going to do to get to the tickets that you sell. How you budget your tickets is that you set your ticket prices. There are 3 types of ticket prices at Hollywood Fringe. You have your regular, you have your participant, and you have your community. Community means anybody who buys a Fringe button automatically gets $1 off. So anybody who buys a Fringe button automatically gets $1 off to any shows. So that will also, so you need to make sure that you set that and like and consider that in setting your ticket prices.
It'll happen automatically. So that's a part of the artist agreement. Like, it'll happen.
The participants' price, they are $3 each for artists, $5 each for audience members. So you are going to have your regular price, which is like, so let's say you're $15. Your community price, which is anybody who has a button, is automatically going to be $14. But then you can also set your participant price for your fellow artists, fellow registered artists, at whatever price you want so that artists can buy it at a discounted rate as well. That's really smart because then you don't have to give out a lot of discount codes. You can also put it for free because the thing is that doing those swaps helps them. They might go see their show and bring their friend who wouldn't have paid for your ticket anyway. And it's also just a good way to get people into your show and excited on that preview week is to use each other as your network. So you're going to set these 3 ticket prices. Our average ticket price is $10 to $12. Last year, the average sell was about $10. People price it higher, and then it sells at lower. Does that make sense? So our average sell was $10, but people averagely price things higher between $12 to $15. I would say if you're a solo show, 15 is probably your max that you should set it at. That's pretty freaking high for a solo show. I'd say maybe in that $10 to $15 range. That's your range.
Unless you have tigers on stage.
I would also say if you're an ensemble piece, it's tends that you have that higher ticket price, but then that you kind of, for other artists and for other people, you kind of like just let it be that same like lower price. Like maybe people will often be like, for artists, it's $5. Because it's really just making sure that, or sometimes it's just like, I'll comp swap with you guys and we'll like make sure that we're just swapping comps. Our average sell-through last year per house was 30 seats, but that's per house, and that includes people who sold out 100-seat houses, and that includes people who sold out 20-seat houses. So what I'm saying is that was the average. These are the things that you can start to put in your mind. We recommend that you budget with a 40% sell-through rate, a 50% sell-through rate, and a 60% sell-through rate. And those are your, okay, oh fuck, this is like what I have to hit. You're, okay, I'm doing a little better, and you're, yay, I did it, kind of budgets. Because you want to hold that other space for industry and for other people. This is a lot different for somebody in a 20-seat house and a lot more strict for somebody in a 20-seat house than somebody in a 100-seat house that they're expecting to sell out. If you're planning to sell out a 100-seat house, who outside of the Fringe community are you selling to? Who are your community members? Where are you kind of having these things come through? These are important things to ask. People are not selling out 99-seat houses unless they have a separate community that they already know they can rely on. People who have done their shows before, have done this work and have like a a really strong marketing plan, and usually a large team. A solo show selling out a 99-seat house is fucking crazy. I would be surprised. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying, like, start to think about these things. So your capacity of your house times your ticket price, I would put in your, do this multiple times for your different ticket prices, times your sell-through rate is your nightly gross. So your capacity, so like 46. So you say, I'm going to pretend that I'm in a 20-seat house. I have my 20-seat capacity. I'm going to pretend that I have my tickets are $10, and then my sell-through rate is 60%. That means that I have to go divide 12. That means I'm banking on like 120, right? So low. That's not a lot, right? Which is why we're like, okay, so what are you doing to supplement your ticket sales? Because your ticket sales are not going to pay for your production. That is just kind of the thing if you're going to sell your things that low, which is why we recommend fundraising, doing a GoFundMe. We have people who have done really successful ways to do this. You should be looking at artist grants. You should be Googling individual artist grant California, individual artist grant Hollywood, individual artist grant United States, and you should be looking up other partnerships and other ways where you can make money, because your ticket sales are not going to cut it unless you have an incredible marketing plan and you plan that out now on how you're going to do that. That is the gist of how you're going to start to do things. I would look at these budgets and see how they've done things. We have some people who went really hardcore on the mathing, and some people who are like, I don't care, I just can kind of guess that this is what it's going to be. And we have examples of all of them on that little of the three. Some of them are very detailed, some of them are not very detailed. And you can pick which way to do it depending on how you do things. Because I'm going to do things in a very different way than you. But I would recommend being as detailed as possible for your brain. I think that's it for budgeting.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, right, and we're kind of hitting this over the head now. Like, we'll go into detail in a workshop about this, but this is when you're looking at venues, right? And so you kind of, this is when to decide how stretched thin you're willing to go, and how much of, because that 100-seat house is a totally different ball game than the 20-seat house. Like, it's a lot easier to break even, maybe even make a little bit when you have those smaller houses with a small production, right? So it's looking at what corners are you willing to cut, and where you're willing to bust ass, really.
And that's why you need to build this budget while you're looking for your venues, because your venue should be a main factor in how you're determining all these prices, all of these things. And because on top of that, the rest of it you set yourself, right? So the fixed prices are registration and your venue. And those are the things that, as you figure that out, that's what you base your budget around. But you should be budgeting based on like these kinds of different venues, and maybe making decisions based on how it's going to work out best for what you can do. Remember, I think 40% sell-through rate, which is the amount that you sell, so 40% of your house through 60% of your house, that is what you should budget. Everything else should be bonus.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk marketing real quick, and then we'll take questions. And remember, all of this is just kind of that like overview. There's so much more detail available on the website and in future workshops. But marketing, we give you the tools to fill your seats, but again, you are going to be filling your seats. Start early, like Ellen is talking about right now. Start that process now. And good news is you're already doing a good bit of it. Like, showing up is 90% of Fringe. Like, those that show up have a good experience. They start to build the audience. They make the network, and people show up for them. So you show up for other people are going to show up for you. Flyers are another go-to, and there'll be more about this in the participant packet, but the Fringe logo does need to be included on your flyer to be like put up at Fringe Central in these Fringe spaces. You can find that at hollywoodfringe.org/branding. And we don't care what color it is or any of that. Make it your own, but it does need to be on there. Ad buys, again, we'll send out more information about this, but we have them online and in print, and we have discounts available. Social media, it's especially on a budget. There are so many free ways to advertise. Use your social media. Hashtag HFF24. Hashtag LATHTR. That's a big one that everyone uses, right? That's the one. I do social media sometimes. But use hashtags and use social to your benefit, because it really is a cheap marketing technique. do show blogs, right? You're all artists. And so start to think now, how can you really create a marketing plan that is going to fit your brand and really use the talents that you have, because you all have them. And so find out what those really are and start to showcase that. Create a blog, create, a follow me journey, things like that. Start to think about a press plan. We'll have a lot more about this coming up. I'll get questions, I promise. We'll have more about this at the marketing and press workshop. But like press release, you're going to want to do that. And you're going to want to start thinking about all of these things kind of in conjuncture, because they're going to play off each other, right? If you have, like, the press in LA is not super stellar. I mean, it's there, and we're working on getting more, especially after LA Times called us the Super Bowl of theater. We're getting there. Yeah, right.
I actually don't know. Yeah.
What?
I don't know when the Super Bowl is.
No, I think we've scheduled many workshops during the Super Bowl on accident, so clearly neither do we. But start to think about like what your marketing game and what your press game is going to be. Like if your show is about food, there's a whole avenue that is not just I'm a theater show doing theater things. It can be like food blogs and food magazines and kind of connecting the genres or the subjects within your piece to other outlets that might gain you more attention. Know who your audience is and start to think about that now. Who are you targeting with your show? Who is going to benefit from your show? Who's going to be interested? And these are all things to start to think about now in the early stage.
The last thing I think that we should really hit over the head is you know more than you think you do. Mm-hmm. You know more about how to do this than you think you do. Yeah. And everybody that you hire, you have to pay. Everybody that you ask to do something for you, you have to manage.
Sometimes that's harder than paying.
So it might seem like you don't know how to write a press release. You do. Okay. And you know what you do? You go to the participant packet, and we go step by step by step into how you write that press release, and we tell you step by step by step how you reach out to press outlets. You can do this, and that doesn't mean that if you don't want to, that there isn't somebody around that's going to be able that you can hire. But I think things like that, things like you are a costume designer, you do not need to hire a costume designer. You can do that. You can do it. You can design props. You can do all these things. These are the things that happen in LA theater in this small, tiny, low budget, not so great economy we have, okay? Yeah. I'm not saying this is ideal. I'm not saying that this is what theater should be. I'm not even saying that this is what Fringe theater should be. It's just the reality. Just think really hard before you spend money so that you have a good concept of where it's going and how it's taking time out of your time, of the time you need.
Yeah, and share knowledge, share experience, right? Find that buddy. There are things, Ellen and I are a co-directorship, and there's never a moment where that's not a helpful thing, where I have skills that she does not, she has skills that I do not. We have things that we're better at, and so find those people in your life, and they're likely in the Fringe community, and find out what those strengths are and help each other. And then, like, when you're not good at press, but you're Fringe buddy is fantastic, and then you're better at marketing, whatever it is, use each other in that way. Why do we do this? And then we'll take just as many questions as we can handle. That's, I think, all we have left, yeah? Yeah. So why do we do this?
To build community with one another and to make sure that we have people that have our backs, and to be able to have each other when we're like, oh shit, I need somebody to help hold me accountable on my writing deadlines. Guess what? You'll probably find that person here. Oh shit, I need somebody that can teach me about social media, and then I can teach them about something that I know how to do. This is like a learning space, and this is a space where like you are going to find your collaborators, and it's also going to be a safe space for you to ask really questions that you think might be like a little bit dumb, but people might be asking them too. You know what I mean? So like it's an open space for that.
Yeah, I mean, the original Fringe was put on because, like, the founders saw LA theater. There's theater here. It's never talked about, and it's never put a spotlight on, but there is theater. Why isn't it bigger? And it's because it was so spread out. There's so many theaters and so many theater artists, but there's not a place that once a year they all convene and connect and become strong because of it. So that's what we're doing. That's why it all happened. But it's cross-pollination of artists, like we talked about that earlier, or audiences. I can read. It's sharing audiences, right? Because I mean, it's all well and good to be an amazing artist and have a story to share, but if you don't have people to sit in that theater and hear the story, it's not going to have that reach. So we're helping build those audiences by sharing a community like this.
It's learning a new skill set through like a producer's training ground where you're really held and walked step by step by step on what it means to self-produce your art. So it is a self-producer's place to learn, but it is not a place for people who don't want to self-produce their work. Just reminding you that.
Yeah, it's develop a culture of cooperation, right? We keep talking about this, and this is not something that like we're insisting upon but doesn't happen. Like it genuinely happens, and we're here to insist that it continues to, because it's going to make everyone a better artist and create a better world and all the ooey gooey stuff that sounds ridiculous, but it's fucking true. It has to be. Otherwise, I don't know what to do in this world if it's not true.
It's summer camp for artists, so plan your June accordingly. Yes. Really make sure that you're immersing yourself in the community, going to see each other's shows, being around, going to Fringe Central, going to our partner bars, and going and hanging out with your fellow artists and getting to know each other.
Yeah, welcome. It's welcome to the family. It's everyone's a player here, and every Fringe is what you bring to the table. Like we're a platform, we're all the pieces, but we are not the festival. It's you, the people in this room, your stories that you have to share that are the festival. And I can't wait to see what y'all create this year, what you turn Fringe into.
We have 8 minutes to answer questions. And so if it's specific to your show or it's something that you think might not be relevant, we're going to be here for 30 minutes afterwards and can answer those questions. But we're going to take as many as we can right now.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start. We're going to go. Yeah.
Can you sell merchandise after your show?
You can do whatever you want. Just make sure you're talking to your venue and about where it's best to do that. So, like, no venue is going to say no, but they might say, yeah, but you need to make sure you do it on the street, or you need to, because you have that 15 minutes where you load out. Right after that, 15 minutes of that next artist loading in. So they're going to tell you where to do that. But yeah, of course you can.
Yeah. And we have merchandise too. So check out our online shop and, Fringe Central. It's really cute.
Hi, Michael Franco again. So just to be clear, I was with I helped start the Fringe years and years ago, and then I kind of went away and had children, and now I'm back. But just to be clear, this is the $300 registration is the only fee that you guys are charging for participants, correct?
That, and then also the $3 ticket fee per person who's like buying a ticket.
Right.
And then, yes, so we're not taking any other of that fees. The other expense that you will have majorly is your venue cost.
Copy that. And the other thing I just want to say to you guys publicly is thank you for doing such an amazing job in keeping this going.
Oh.
Stop.
Well, geez. There's
Color us
some
embarrassed.
questions over here. Yeah.
Moving on quickly. We don't want to talk about us. Where was it?
I'm Jessica Quilla-Zimmerman, and me and Eden Perry are doing Hedda Gabler. My question, it's really simple, but you said that the Hollywood Fringe logo needed to be on any flyers, anything that we put out there. Does it need to be on digital posters, anything that we post, anything like that?
I will say, it's recommended. It really should, because it will help kind of build a collective brand, right? Like, we're all in this together, so the more Hollywood Fringe is on all of our items, the more people are going to be drawn to the festival as a whole. But the requirement side, and Ellen, jump in if I'm speaking off turn, but it's anything that you're going to leave in a Fringe space. Like, if you're going to come to Fringe Central and here's my poster, here's my postcards, have it be branded. Because believe it or not, we have there's other shows going on in June, and we want to make sure your shows are advertised in our space as opposed to the wonderful shows that are just not Fringe. So.
And if you forget, then just get a sticker maker and make some stickers. There's alternatives to people who forget. So, but please don't forget.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Heather Fink. I'm doing a solo show called Quicksand with Anelia, who's producing. And my question is, what is the intention and purpose of Preview Week?
intention and purpose is to make sure that a lot of people get to come see your show. I mean, for a long time before the pandemic, we were like every year, like really maxing out on the amount of people that were coming through and maxing out on the number of shows. And so preview week is really, people will often paper their house a little bit more. So you'll often add in more comps during that time. You'll often have more discounts so that you can get that first show like out the gate. Boom, bam, you had a full house and people are talking about it. Because the thing that's going to help you sell tickets and also get awards and get press and get all these things is word of mouth.
It's everything.
And so, yeah, it's the exact same thing. It's just that we don't, it is just a theater thing. I don't know how to describe it otherwise.
And remember, it's press.
Yeah, papering your house means that you are doing comps instead of having all of those tickets being sold. So when you paper your house, it means that you're adding in a lot more free tickets than you would on an average night.
Yeah, but remember, we have press and industry, and we have all of these other things too, right? Because don't get me wrong, like press all month long, you want them to come. But if the LA Times comes to your show on closing night, the fuck let it does ya. Like, it's not going to give you those tickets later. It's still great and good for your branding and marketing, but it's not going to help you sell out. So that preview week is going to be, you want to get those, the people who are going to talk about it, the people who are going to write reviews, the people who are going to write articles, get your shit out there.
It was off the back of the posters thing. So we make our posters with the Fringe. And so how many do you think we should bring you? And are you in charge of distributing them?
So we do, yeah, and we'll talk a lot more about this, but with posters, we can do one at Fringe Central, and I'll be honest, like, we're still kind of figuring out what the details of this year's will look like, but in general, it'll be like, we can do one at Fringe Central, because hundreds of shows, and we don't have that much real estate, so it'll be one, and then postcards, it's up to you. That's going to be something, we'll always have a spot for you to leave a stack of postcards. We're not talking inventories, and then additionally, though, like, you should go to neighboring businesses, go to other venues. The key is always ask permission, right? Don't be a jerk. Rule number one, coming out strong. But by all means, we have hotspots. Like, kind of pay attention to who's involved in Fringe and use that network and hang your posters everywhere.
And many of your venues will also have space for you to display things. So when you're booking your venue, talk to them about it and see what they're doing. And they might have it figured out, or they might not yet. And that's okay. But they'll do some stuff to help, spread that.
Yeah. All right. Next questions? Yep. Getting my steps in.
I love that Lois is the one that's just been running around.
I'm Linnea Pramel. I'm doing the trick. I have a question about the Fringe button. Like, I bought a Fringe button. Do you just buy one for the entire time, or do you have to buy it over and over?
Yeah, just one. And so you can buy it now. We'll advertise it a lot more later, but just one, and one per person. That discount does mean one ticket, $1 $1 off per ticket. So it's not like you can go and get 15 tickets and get that $1 off for every ticket, right? Because we also want to make sure that you as the participants, as the shows, are not getting screwed out of money. So that is just $1 off per ticket per person. They're $3 for participants, $5 for general.
Per production, per performance.
Per production.
Yeah, so like it's for you to use, not for you and your friend to use.
Yeah. And then it'll get you discount. I mean, it's really cute too. Like, I wish I had an example of past years, but they're stupid cute, and they will get you discounts on Hudson Coffee and Eat This Cafe and The Plunge.
We will overly talk about marketing and overly talk about these things coming up. So I would say, like, just put it in next month's worry about those types of things. Like, just know I gotta do this. The postcards thing is good to know now, and I would say that people in the past have printed between 500 to 1,000 postcards. I think that there's less printing going on than ever, and you can always reprint. So don't overprint, and some people don't print at all. Some people are like, here's my QR code on my phone, scan it, you know what I mean? And people have digital business cards, people have other ways. So if that's like not a part of it, and you don't want to be a part of that like global footprint, which I completely understand, it's something that we've moved away from, is we've only done it and like used it as a business card. Like, we use our business cards very sparingly because we were like, this is important, and we want to make sure that we're not under like overprinting and then like just papering and putting things on cars and things like that. That is not good. That is not going to get anybody to see your show. They will not like you.
In fact, our guide, our it's 100 pages, is now 100% recyclable. So let's all try to do the steps we can, right, to make our world continue on. All right. There's another one. Yes.
Christina, The Road to Nowhere. Final question for me is, you mentioned QR codes. That reminded me, a friend that's a Fringe veteran had said to me, you should put your QR code on your poster. But I know that ticket sales don't go live until May 1st. So when do you suggest we start peppering our poster, and do we do like 2 rounds, one before and one after the call?
Your project link does not change, so you can make it now, and so just make sure that you're using the project link that you're going to register, and you can change the title on there, you can change the images, you can change any of that, but your link is not going to change. That's unique to your project.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm going to jump back to ticket sales because I know that or ticket price, because it's gonna, when you're registering, it's gonna ask you what's your average ticket price, and no, that can still be changed. That again, it is not your permanent marker, can't go away. It's just giving everyone an idea of what to put in as that first initial. Okay.
Rachel Troy, aka Baby. Can you explain a little bit the difference between a free show versus free registration, free show versus regular registration, and what the benefits of a free show is, and if you could collect donations from audience members and how that works?
So paid registration, again, the most common is going to be, you can do as many, or $300 registration, you can do as many performances and charge whatever you want under that registration. The $175 of free show is for you or not, and that's how we make it accessible. Maybe explaining the reason why we do it too is going to help actually explain this model. But if you can't afford, if you're maybe not paying rent for your venue, or you just have the money and want to produce art and share it, then you can do free registration at $175, and that means you are not accepting money on the website. That you can absolutely pass the hat. This is also something that can help internationals make a little bit of tips at the end.
Don't investigate us. So it's the exact same process.
Yeah.
So the exact same process. And so I would, if you are doing multiple shows and you're in this room and this doesn't make sense, you don't worry about it, because I don't think you should do it. It means that you should just do the $300. It's really for these specific instances where people can't collect their ticket sales, like international artists who are coming here on a traveler's visa can't collect their ticket sales. And so there's these more accessible ways for that kind of participation.
Yeah.
And I want to name it's 4 p.m. So we will do this one last question, but if anybody needs to leave, please do. Yeah. And then we'll stay here afterwards and you can ask us questions individually.
Yeah.
Jessica had a gabbler, I know. The last one was you said that the link to our show page doesn't change. That is where people purchase tickets for our show. Okay, amazing. Just wanted to clarify that.
On that exact topic, people don't use that description enough on the breakdown of their show. When I go to look a show, I look to see reviews, who's in it. Just because you're the producer, get your actors their own profile on there so we can see that it's an ensemble show, that they've done this, they came in from New York. And if that QR code goes right there, make that your program. Make the director's statement there, whatever. And I can find everything there, and we don't need paper, and that will help.
Really quick, so your venue will add your shows into the site. So everyone does that at a different time. So don't freak out if you're like, why aren't my dates in there? We got you. It's all good. And also every venue will schedule at a different time. So with Stagecraft's venues, when you book with us, you have your whole schedule, and other venues don't, because they're pairing them differently or scheduling differently. So just talk to your venue about that, but don't worry. I promise they'll be in the Fringe site.
All right, we've got to go because we have to let our interpreters go, and we have to, not be that Fringe show that's over time. But we have times where you can schedule if you're online. We have times where you can schedule to have a 20-minute consultation with us. It's in your newsletter, so if you haven't been reading your newsletter, now's a good time for you to look it up. And we also have office hours and things like that. We'll be standing here for 20 minutes. Come ask us questions right after we use the restroom, because I'm sure we both have to pee.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks, y'all.